welcome back to the Insurance Business Babes podcast. Joanna and I were just playing around on the right before we started, and she was showing me some AI stuff that her team did with our pictures. It's hilarious, hilarious. So I'm sure Joanna will be releasing that to the Facebook group soon so that you can go see for yourself. But today we have a really important thing to talk about.
So I see from all sides, but my livelihood is to sell insurance. And if I get terminated because of my upline, that carrier alone is over 30% of my revenue.
Yeah, that would be bad. I'm glad that it did not affect us,
No,
you
but it's
know.
hard to that it affects your friends. I have friends that have been affected,
It is hard, and I know people that they sell a lot of Humana. I don't think I don't know if it affected them. I haven't reached out,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's really hard. We're not standalone agents anymore. What
We're
we
really
do
not.
affects other people and other agents. Like what if it was you that got terminated?
If I
And
got terminated, I would have to shift my entire thing, my entire
but
business
I'm
plan.
but I mean it would affect me.
Yeah, if I got terminated, it would affect my entire downline. And this is what I was really having an epiphany struggle yesterday because, all right, so if I look at my entire downline as a whole, someone asked me how many agents I had contracted. And I said, that's a good question. I said, I have 450 contracted Medicare agents. I said, now ask me how many wrote business last year.
Okay, how many I know I was one of them even though I tried real hard not
You
to.
did. And that's my point. I adopted a baby in the middle of AEP and I was submitting applications from the NICU.
Right. But how many agents do you have from that 450 that actually wrote business?
I want to say in AEP, 120 unique writers, right?
Wow. So only about 25%,
In AEP.
right?
Now, how many are writing business
Oh,
year
year round.
round is
Yeah.
very different. So, one of the things is if this agent hasn't submitted business with me ever, like a lot of people come and say, "Hey, Joanna, I want a contract. I'm going to do this," and I try to give everybody a fair shot. They're if I think I could support them, then I say, "Okay, we have the tools in place, but I can't go do the work for you. Like I can't want it more than you want it." And a lot of them, their business plan is not productive for them. Maybe whatever life happens, I don't know, and they don't come to training. They don't come to any of our Zooms or any vibe sessions. And then I'm getting emails to service their work. I'm getting emails to service their contracts, which is time and money, right?
Absolutely. Now, I have a downline now,
I do.
and I can I can almost guarantee she's not coming to Stuff Live. But I
I
know
can
that
see if she logs in.
you can, and
Hmm.
I do believe that she logs in and she
She
watches,
does,
but she
and she
also
participates in the chat.
that's right, and she
Hmm.
also I work with her as well. I've done
Hmm.
some training with her. So not everybody has to do everything live, and I
Right.
understand why she doesn't want, because there's a lot of chit chat that goes on that's not real,
Pertinent to
like
her.
down to the business.
Yeah.
Well, I'm that way too. I'm like I like to watch recordings of things because then I just will fast forward through all of the,
Hmm. Hmm.
like there's a friend that we all have that has these weekly or daily Facebook things, and they spend 20 minutes chit-chatting about whatever before they get to the point. And I'm not going to say any names.
It's not me.
It's
I'm
not
like,
it's
I
not you. I mean, we all do it. We all do it.
yeah.
And so when I'm
Kathy and I
watching
might talk about
something,
cruising.
we do. Hopefully we don't record that though, but yeah, so I like to skip that part. I don't like to sit there and, I don't want to say waste my time for 20 minutes,
Hmm.
but time is valuable. And so, and I'm sure she's like that too, because she left her job to do this business.
Hmm.
And, but yes, what we do affects other people. It's not standalone anymore because all these bad actors that FMO had, because let's face it, they probably weren't overseen like they should have, or maybe they were training their people, or maybe they were encouraging people to do things that, I don't know what the situation was because I never worked there. I don't know anybody that worked there.
Mhm. Mhm.
But usually when you have that many complaints, something is going on
Hmm.
inside.
Well, so that brings up a new issue. It's not even complaints sometimes that they're looking at. They're looking at the quality of business from what I was told by my CEO. Because I had a meeting with him, I was ready to go to work for the agents. I'm like, the compliance things that you're putting on me is a lot for me, and these are independent agents. Like I can't babysit them; they're not my
Right. Well,
employees.
and we'll talk about that later, but what did they say?
So they said that it's not just a complaint, it's persistency as far as the quality of what you submit. So remember, like, and I don't know if they're applying this to AEP yet, okay? But if you submit, or agent A submits an application to a carrier and CMS doesn't approve it for, maybe it's not the right SAP, maybe that person called and withdrew their application or changed what they wanted. If that plan doesn't go effective, that also counts against persistency. And
I wonder, how do you find out what your persistency is? I think mine is definitely
I
high 90s.
I
Yeah,
can
look it
tell
up.
you.
Yeah, tell
So,
me what it is.
well, our IMO is tracking it because I was looking
Okay.
at it, and this is how it got brought to my attention. An agent who only wrote a couple apps, in OEP would be dinged harder if they wrote two apps and one of them didn't process. Now they have a 50% instead
T-
of
tell
somebody
me
who
what
wrote.
mine Tell
I'm
me what
gonna
mine is.
hold on.
Cuz I didn't get my 100 apps this year, like cuz I cut back significantly for the listener. My husband was sick during AEP, and so I cut back on the number of apps, the number of people that I was talking to, and I actually stopped taking new clients.
I'm gonna
What
tell you.
happened?
So I'm looking at the enroll. So I have a list of enrollment qualities. So one client, I'll use their first name, Donald. He did not go into effect. So because you submitted it and he didn't go into effect, it's going against you.
Did we know this? Like my
No,
assistant,
I did not know this.
but my assistant should have caught that, like, and
But he
said,
might not.
yeah,
He might not have gone into effect for numerous reasons. Maybe he didn't go into effect because he talked. Maybe because you said. So this has happened to me where a client says, "Hey, Joanna, I want this plan with company ABC," and then December 7th, they call me and say, "Hey, Joanna, I want this plan with company XYZ," and I change it for them. Well, that
okay.
actually even though it's my same client and I'm doing it, it's going against me because I submitted an application that didn't go into effect.
Hold on,
Um,
I have to see who Donald was. Just a second here.
mhm.
So I wonder if it was a new client or an existing client. Oh my God, I've got so many Donalds.
No,
Okay,
okay.
offline, tell me who it was,
Well, you can
and
look at this in your portal. So our IMO is giving agents this information in the portal. This was really just brought to my attention last week, and that's why I'm so hyped about it. I'm like, wait a minute. So an agent who is doing. I started as a part-time agent, so I don't have beef with part-time agents. I don't want people to hear me wrong, but if I submit something and they change their mind and I submit something else, because people change their mind all the time. They'd be like, oh, I want to do an MAPD. No, I think I'm going to go with that med step and a PDP, right? Like that
right?
happens all the time. Then it's their changing of their mind is now a ding against me too.
And it's for that carrier,
Hmm.
not for, say, Spark,
Right.
because
So because the
Spark, we
carriers
still
just
have we still have the client. But
right.
for that individual, like let's say, so here's what I'm hearing you're saying. Let's say they said they wanted to go with, let's just call Humana. And then 3 weeks later, whatever, let's assume it's AEP, they say, oh, you know what? I really want to go with Aetna.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is a ding as far as Humana is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But then with Aetna, I might have 100%
Yeah.
persistency.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking at carrier by carrier persistency, not
Mm-hmm.
overall did the client stay with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because the
okay.
carriers don't. care that the person, obviously, if they're not with that carrier, there was somewhere usually, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
but the carriers are saying, okay, you submitted 20 apps to us, but 10 of them didn't go into effect and cost us time and money to process this application.
Okay, that makes sense. So they're not using, so remember, I came from the financial services world.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, persistency meant they looked at your entire book of business. So if you
Mm-hmm.
had 500 clients,
Mm-hmm.
let's say 100 clients, let's
Mm-hmm.
say you had 100 clients and two of them left you
Mm-hmm.
during the year for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
they died, they went to another financial advisor. You now have a 98% persistency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you went below 98, you were in trouble. So
So,
so I have 92% persistency in January. Is that what you're saying?
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really
So
good.
so it's considered good in our
Yeah.
world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what
I
is
was told
bad?
70% and under is really bad.
Oh, 70%. Okay, I don't have I ever hit that low before? Like, can
No,
you
so
tell?
they've
Can you
just
write a
really
report?
started tracking.
Okay.
Um, and so let me go to. They just started really tracking this in AAP. Um, but the rapid disenrollments affect everybody. Um, Not being processed affects anybody.
Well,
And
the
then,
rapid disenrollments, I can see why that, because
mhm.
that's going to be a star rating issue,
Yeah, but
right?
we had a couple rapid disenrollments from. So one of my top producers had a bunch of rapid disenrollments for a carrier, and I messaged him about it. I was like, "Hey, did you move these clients? So, like, what happened over here?" And he's like, "Yeah, what happened was they decided to change their network in OEP, and my clients
Oh,
were losing their hospital."
oh, that's a good reason, right? But
Right, but how is that gonna? So yes, I understand rapid disenrollment and not getting paid the commission, but now you changed your network, so I have to protect my client,
so it's
and you're
my
gonna
fault.
ding me.
Exactly. So, okay, so we've talked about this. You don't stand alone anymore.
Right.
You affect your upline affects you. And these little things that we, I guess, need to be tracking. Well, if you're part-time especially, I think full people that are full-time, they probably are going to hit the persistency goal, because you're
It's
doing
easier,
enough business.
and that's my point. Is it's easier for a full time productive agent to stay above 70% than it is for someone who's submitting one app or two apps a month
And the
because.
people that are submitting one or two apps a month, I bet these are the same people. That's why I got into the business in the first place.
Mm,
Because the this is I think I've told this story before, but when my husband turned 65, I was a financial advisor and he came to me for help and I said, "I don't know anything about Medicare. Just call somebody who
mm-hmm,
does it."
mm-hmm,
And I had a life and health license. I could
mm-hmm.
have sold him a med sup, and that's what he wound up going with. But the guy told him he didn't need a drug plan, Joanna.
Mm-mm.
And so we were paying a penalty until the day my husband died.
Hmm.
5 years later is when we found out he should have had a drug plan. We didn't know because the guy said at the end of the application for the supplement, he said, "Do you take any medications?" And my husband said no. And the guy said, "Then you don't need a drug plan."
That's bad.
And that's bad. And
Mm-hmm,
I don't care if you sell drug plans or not. I don't care if you sell Medicare Advantage or not.
mm-hmm.
I don't like this rule that says you can sell Medicare supplement and not have to go through AEP. You
You
know,
know, I think
I,
those people are the biggest risk to the industry because they don't know the entire story. You're not trained. You're not
I
trained.
agree. I agree. So, speaking of that, that guy was not good for beneficiaries. And you just said a lot of the problem is people that are doing it, they're dipping their toe into the water, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not fully. training them. And I understand everybody has to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've been in this business for what, Joanna, over a year, over 2 years?
I
Uh,
think if you've been in this business and been licensed and contracted for 3 years and you have less than 10 clients, it's not a training problem, it's a you problem.
you need to get out and turn your business over to somebody who's going to take it seriously,
Yeah.
because the people that aren't really in the business but they want to make the occasional sale, that's not good for your upline. It's not good for you as somebody who's trying to sell or make a living, and it's certainly not good for the beneficiaries. And I can attest to that from personal knowledge, because you don't know enough. If you're only selling, if you only have 10 or 15, or how, if you're not consistently
Mm-hmm.
talking to people, how many would you say? Like 10 a year at least? One a month, 12 a year?
I think in order to keep up with the changes, and the thing is like things have changed, but if you're not going to the trainings and um, applying the knowledge, because knowledge without application is useless to me. You know,
Exactly.
I know so many agents who I'd say they have a PhD in insurance, but they have no book of business. So you don't really know how it works, right? Like you can go to med school, but I still don't want you operating surgery on me because
Until
you've
you've
never
had
done it
some
before. Like,
practice. So,
yeah,
how many would you say that somebody needs to sell per year in order to, and after the first year or two, like third year and
yeah.
beyond?
I expect five a month from an agent who is a couple years in. You
Yeah.
know, I expect
So
five a month.
60 a year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Five a
60 a
month.
year.
If you're not doing five a month, I don't know how you support yourself. Minimum. I mean, even and five a month is not even T65s because it's hard to find five T65s all at the same time. But like, I'm like, do you have? Are you independently wealthy? Like, how do you do this? You know, because again, like five a month slapped me in the face, and I have a newborn baby, and I try to give the business to my downline for right now. You know, what I'm saying, I'm like, hey, can you take this? Like, I'm flying or whatever. You know, um, but when someone's not actively in the business, it hurts everybody because I'm like, man, did they go over IRMA? Did they go over a Medicare savings program? Did
Probably not,
did they
right?
did they go over? So I posted an example on my Facebook the other day of somebody with end stage renal disease who was in contracted with an MAPD in Florida, wanting to travel to another state like Indiana.
I
And
remember that post.
and
I
I said, here's
remember.
the thing: is we can't just say, oh, here's an MAPD for you because you are, have ESRD or whatever. Like, there's agents out there who've never sold a med sup and have told me they've never sold a med sup. I'm like, why? I think it's easier to sell than Medicare Advantage, you know. And then they're like, oh, well, my clients can't afford it. I said, how do you know your clients can't
You
afford it?
don't know that. Yeah, you don't know
I was
that.
like, and then how do you know that your client's daughter can't afford it for them, or that
Well,
there's
here's another thing. If you think your clients can't afford, let's call it $150 a month,
mm-hmm,
how are they going to afford a $10,000 max
they
out of pocket?
can't,
You better be selling them
they can't,
hospital indemnity and other programs
they
if you're
can't.
selling them a Medicare Advantage because you think they can't afford
If
anything
they
else.
and you know, it's like if someone has chronic health problems, and so if they're in their if my stance, if they're in their IEP, and they tell me that they have dialysis or something like that going on, I'm gonna say you can't not afford it. Your max out of pocket is gonna be the premium of the med sup. But for ESRD in this example, there's a nonprofit that pays the Part B and the premium of the med sup for them. But you would only know that if you went to someone's training. Like you won't know that just by doing one app a year. You wouldn't know about the Kidney Foundation. You know, you wouldn't know about a Medicaid waiver if you've never gone to training for someone who, you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
So
so I just want to play the devil's
yeah,
advocate here.
I like when you do that.
So just because you have been in the business for a long time and you go to trainings does not mean that you would have known about the Kidney Foundation,
No, you wouldn't.
because it's so rare that I've only had 2 clients in my since 2014 that had ESRD.
Oh
So
wow.
it's rare. I mean, I live right by a dialysis center, but I've only
Okay.
had 2 clients that had
You.
ESRD. Both of them, I was able to get them a med sup,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I lived in California.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't have any here. And what I used to do in California, because there were certain times when they had guaranteed issue to get a,
Mm-hmm.
but after that guaranteed issue, they couldn't get a med sup.
That's right.
Okay. So let's say someone comes to me and they're 70 and they've been on Medicare.
Sure. Sure.
Then in California, there were ESRD Medicare Advantage plans,
Sure. Yeah.
but agents could not sell them. And
Ah.
so I would have them go to the back of their Medicare and U book
Yeah.
and say, call these 2
Yeah.
companies
Yeah.
and see about their Medicare Advantage plan. Now things are different. Now regular Medicare Advantage plans have to cover ESRD, but back
Yes.
then they
Back
didn't
then.
have to.
You're 100%
And
right.
so they had these special ESRD plans. So
Mm-hmm.
so I wouldn't be so prone to pick on the person that didn't know about the Kidney Foundation, because that's a very specialized
True and point.
subject.
Kathy, there was a big influencer who owns a Facebook group. And they
Okay.
called me in 2019 and asked me, after being in business for over, I don't know, 5 years minimum, asking me how to do Medicare savings program. And then somebody related to them called me last year and asked me the same question. And I was blown away. I was like, I think that's step two of training. I mean, the carriers go over Medicare savings program now in their certifications, so you can't say that you've never heard about it because it's definitely talked about now. How do you serve any population and say that you don't know Medicare savings program? Even if you say, well, my clients are all rich, wealthy millionaires, I'm gonna say that one person that comes to your seminar is probably not, you know what I'm saying? Like, not 100% of your people are millionaires because you would be an expert IRMA. And I think I am an expert in IRMA, but like, I have my little sister is a dual,
Mhm.
and her status is different than my status. Like, I would not never be a dual. I have a lot of assets and income and stuff, but I have people whose sister, like, they're Irma, but their sister is a dual. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you're just not asking their income, and you should know Medicare savings program as a year one agent. I think that's a rookie knowledge, and you should be asking someone's income. And I ask everybody's income just as an example, because I need to know if you're going to be affected by Irma, if you have a life change event, if you're, qualify for extra help for Part D, Medicare savings program, or SSI agent benefits, But asking Irma, I'm sorry, asking income, I think is really pertinent to the discovery of me even trying to tell you how much your Part B is going to be. Because I've been in seminars where someone was having a heart attack, not literally, but they were having like shock when they were like, oh, Medicare Part B is $202 a month. I can't afford that. My Am Better is $3 a month. I want to stay on my Am Better.
You're like, "Sorry."
Well, they didn't know. Like, first of all, they can't, but they didn't know
That's
that
why I said, "Sorry, you can't do it."
the great state of where they're at would pay for their Part B. So you have to tell the entire story, because 202 is if you're over this income and under this income. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
if you're not attending training and you're sometimes agent, what like I call, then you're putting people at risk for not getting the entire story.
That's right. It's not good for the beneficiary.
It's
And
not.
so that's what we're talking about. So we hope that if you're in that situation where you're only writing 1 or 2 apps a year, that you make a commitment to yourself to up your game and get that at a higher level, because otherwise you're just wasting your time. You're wasting your client's time. You're wasting your upline's time. And that brings us to our next thing that we wanted to talk about, and that is, you're an independent agent, but you're not. you're not really independent because you're a liability to your upline.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Joanna, do you want to address that?
Yeah. So, after sitting there, like having the reality slap me in the face yesterday, of like, man, I have 300 liabilities that put my good 100 agents at risk, right? So, we don't know, you know, like, I don't think many people get the warnings from the carriers, but I would never want Kathe to get terminated because of sometimes part-time agents rapid disenrollments, or their policy, they submitted 10 policies in AP and 8 of them didn't go into effect. Like, that shouldn't affect the ones who depend on this business for their livelihood, right? And somebody posted on my comment today, so I made a Facebook post with my release letter. So my contemplation is, should I initiate to release all the agents who are under the persistency and at risk of affecting my Kathys of the world, or the zero app production in the last year? Because if they do ever produce, they're still a liability, but their lack of production is costing the carrier time and money, and the entire upline time and money, because we still have to manage the contracts. I've been getting barraged. My email is at 100%. I have to go figure out what emails I can delete, because I'm getting barraged by all these carriers requesting agents E&Os, and then we're sending it multiple times and there's no response, but the time is money, you know like, if I have to go track you down and you've never written an application with me now, I wasted time and money contracting you, and now maintaining that contract is costing me time and money, and you might never submit an application, right?
That's right. That's
And I
right.
could spend that time and money on the Kathys of the world, right? So, yeah, it's like I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this, and other uplines are too. We were having discussions. A lot of people are like, "Yeah, send me that letter," And then some people said that they're just terminating the non-producers. They're simply terminating them. And I was like,
Well,
"Nah."
you I got terminated by a carrier because
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't written business in a year. And
Yeah,
they didn't give me a warning. They didn't say, "Well, if you don't write business, we're going to terminate you." They just did it.
I got a
And
warning. Joanna Wyckoff got a warning from a life carrier this week, saying you have 150 days to submit business, or you
okay.
know,
Well, that's
and
nice that they did that, but
yeah,
most
but
of the
most
time
people
they
don't.
don't.
But
They
here's
just
what
terminate you. And
here's the
so,
bad thing, Kathe. We as agents have been trained to go get every contract in the country. And I certified for over 43 carriers, but there was carriers that we certified for as an FMO where none of the agents submitted business. And so we're not good business for that carrier, you
well,
know?
let me tell you what happened to me the beginning of my career.
Yeah.
I was a financial advisor, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I was recruited by a FMO that likes to recruit financial advisors because we already have people we can talk to usually.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing they had me do before I left that room, I was there at a seminar that they offered, and I said, "Yeah, I might be interested in this." The first thing they had me do was contract with United Healthcare. And at the time, United Healthcare had a rule that if you didn't submit 5 apps in a year, they would terminate your contract.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first thing they would do is there was like a step process. The first thing they would do is they would say, you can't, you won't get paid or something like that. Like you had to write 3 apps without getting paid. I
Mm-hmm.
forget exactly what it was, but I was like, this is ridiculous. And I was in danger of getting terminated because I didn't know that. And I had just casually contracted because in the financial services world, when you're a financial planner,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you can get terminated for not writing business, but guess what? You write, they'll just recontract you when you have other business to sell. And United Healthcare's stance at the time was we can give you a lifetime, you won't be able to contract with us.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll terminate you and you won't be able to recontract. And I was freaking out. And my upline, so not my upline, but my broker manager said, "Don't worry, Kathe, I'll save you." And so he waived whatever was going to happen to me. And then I learned that from then on. And I didn't just willy nilly contract after that. I was
Yeah.
like, I want to be able to know that I'm going to be able to sell. Now, this contract that I just lost
Mhm.
is because they have I contracted with them to do MedSup,
Mhm.
and they have a unique Medicare supplement product
Mhm.
that I'm not really in a line with.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize that when I contracted with them. So now, it's been over a year, a couple years. I've got a couple of people on their regular contract, not on their different contract,
Mhm.
on their regular account. But they're not competitive really where I live. Their
Mhm.
regular program, their regular plan G is about $40 a month more expensive than
Mhm.
their competitors really. And so
Mhm.
their other product is only about $5 cheaper than the nearest competitor of a
Mhm.
regular product. I don't want to mention the company because I do like them. They have
Yeah.
other products that I like, but so I got terminated. I
Yeah.
feel so I feel so bad, but I
So
wasn't writing.
the
Wasn't
good
writing
news
them.
with them is, I think you can recontract after 90 days.
Or
Um,
if I get a client, right?
yeah, yeah.
Can you submit a contract with an application, or is that a no-no?
Usually not in the Medicare world. With life
Yeah,
insurance, yes, a lot of carriers do what they call just in time.
right. But
I've
not in
never seen
MedSup.
that in the med sup world. But with this carrier that we're talking about, the contract takes a day. Um, so I'm not worried about that. They're not like, there's one med sup out of Georgia that has taken over 120 days to get a contract.
Wow.
Yes, and it's a nightmare.
Oh my gosh.
So it really depends on the carrier. And the thing is, like, not every carrier is going to be competitive everywhere. So if it's not competitive your market, don't get it if you're not a telesales agent consistently doing business in other markets, you know. But agents all the time say, "Hey, Joanna, I got a Texas license. How about I get, this contract with you in Texas so we can be friends and work together?" And I'm like, "You're never going to write this, you
Right.
know."
If
And
you don't
it
live there. You know what? That's another thing. I used to get contracted when my clients would move out of state.
mhm,
And I'd say if it's not going to cost me more money to get the contract
the
in your state, or
license.
that's what I meant, to get the license in your
Yeah.
state. If I break even, I will do it and you can file. And I don't do that anymore. I'm like, you know what? Having one person in one state, even if I break even, I'm not breaking even.
You're not.
I'm not breaking, even if it's $50 to get that
Yeah.
that license in that state, I'm not breaking even. And I don't do it anymore. Now I don't have to because now
You
I've
got
got
to
a
tell the
very
listener
full book of
why you're
business.
not breaking even, though.
You're not breaking even because the states, believe it or not, have different rules
Mm-hmm.
on, so you have to remember what those rules are.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I like to sell business in groups. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to get referrals, or if you do, it's going to be one or two, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like where I live now, I get referrals all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
those referrals are now going to my downline. But
Mm-hmm.
but I get them all the time because they talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're they're there. They see, so many people in my city, and so
Sure.
I like to group, I like to be local. And so I have two main places where I get a lot of referrals, California and South Carolina. And that's
Mm-hmm.
really where I really don't need to be licensed in 15 states.
Mm-hmm.
So it's time, your brain has to switch when
Mm-hmm.
you're doing another state. Also, it could be a different time zone. So for me, it's that. What are some
Mm-hmm.
things that I've missed, Joanna?
Yeah. Well, so for me, I'm licensed in 50 states plus DC. And I do get referrals all the time, and I used to take them. And then I realized when I did their reviews, or even the initial, if I don't know the plans in the area and the network in the area, now what usually takes used to take me 45 minutes to do some research and suggest a good plan. now takes me more because I have to go through 20 summary of benefits and I have to look
Yeah,
up hospital networks and stuff, you know?
I wasn't even thinking of Medicare Advantage. I was thinking
Hmm.
on the Med Sub side. Yeah,
Oh,
Medicare
yeah.
Advantage is a nightmare, and
Yeah. And you
like,
can really hurt somebody. So, like, my family is in upstate New York. Well, one of the biggest carriers in the country left one of the biggest hospital systems in the middle of upstate New York. And had you not known that, you could have really hurt somebody if they couldn't go to a freaking hospital. And
yeah,
you're putting them on this plan. So this plan had the best food card, the most, I can't say best, most robust food card. So it was desirable. But had you not
right.
had the knowledge of the hospital system not being a network, I'm not talking.
Then
So in upstate New York, the doctors are not part of the hospital system. You know,
right,
Dr. Jones is not tied to Bassett Hospital, right?
right.
Like in Georgia, it's very different. You know, like they're affiliated, and same thing with California is the doctors are affiliated with hospitals. In upstate New York, Bassett Hospital is a hospital. Dr. Jones, your
Right,
primary care is Dr. Jones. You know,
right.
and
And
so
so you could hurt people by
you could
not
definitely
knowing
hurt
about that
people.
hospital. So
Yeah.
yeah, I totally get it, and I absolutely agree. It's even more of a nightmare if you're doing Medicare Advantage out of state. But I guess the final point of this podcast is these contracts, not only do they cost your upline money, they
Hmm.
cost you money too. And I remember when United Healthcare, back to the out of state thing, United Healthcare used to charge for
Hmm.
contracting out of state. I
Hmm.
I finally got out of that when I got up to their whatever their level is, where I
Yeah.
didn't have to pay it. I don't know if they do it anymore, but I'm surprised that more carriers don't charge for contracting. I think
So
that would eliminate a lot of these people that have these contracts that aren't using them if
because
they had to
it's
pay 50 bucks a year
the
to keep it
carriers have
going.
to pay to report to the state too, you
I
know?
know.
And so
Yep,
like agents don't see the cost of the business on the FMO side. And so like we have to pay for your Sunfire enrollments, you know,
I
people
know.
like regular agents don't see the cost of the business because a lot of it doesn't get passed down to them. So I think the whole point is like we have to look at just because there's 200,000 appointed AHIP agents doesn't mean that 200,000 are going to be with us next year because I think we're coming to the thinning of the herd by the carriers and uplines, especially if 75% of the agents who don't write business are going to affect the other 25%.
Absolutely. So, the beginning of this podcast, you said, should you terminate these other agents? And Joanna, I know it's not a popular, but I think you should. I think you should give them a certain amount of time to start submitting business, or you give them a minimum number that they have to write per. I don't think 60. I think that's probably too much, especially if somebody's new. But
When agents come to me, because every agent that comes direct has to do a Zoom with me, and you know I always want I always lead with my heart, you know, I want to help you, right? I want to help you do this, but the thing is like you have to also make it part of your business plan. And I understand being busy. I worked at the government full time while went go to Walmart full time while having a failing gallbladder and bronchitis. And then, you know, it's like I had a baby, like I didn't have a baby, but I adopted a baby last AEP. And I still had, you know, to run a business. And I understand busy, but you have to determine, are you going to participate in this industry and be a benefit to your beneficiaries? Or are you going to be a liability to your beneficiaries?
and that's a good place to end. So, listeners, we're so glad that you joined us today, and we'll see you next time on the Insurance Business Babes podcast. Bye.
Bye.